The U.S. Senate passed a bill in the middle of the night last night. The U.S. Senate passed a bill in the middle of the night last night to take money out of the pockets of working people across the country to fill the bank vaults of the billionaire class, to enrich corporations that have never been doing so well before. They ignored what their constituents wanted. They ignored what the economists said. They ignored, God knows they ignored arithmetic. They ignored what's good for normal people. They listened only and exclusively and relentlessly to the tiny number of people who pay for their campaigns. That's who they hear. And that's the system that we have now. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? Oh, wait, I'm not done. I almost forgot. Donald Trump is the president. I almost forgot something else. Bruce Rauner is the governor of Illinois. Worst governor in the nation, says the National Review, so I guess it's true.
I agree.
So here we are confronted with the system, where we picked an inexperienced billionaire to be governor of Illinois because he told us it was all going to be great. Where we picked an inexperienced billionaire predator to be president of the United States because he told us it was going to be great. Where we listened to the billionaire donor class to pass an absurd, corrupt, dangerous, vicious, harmful, cruel bill out of the United States Senate last night, which we better keep fighting, but which may well become the law of the land. And Democrats in Illinois get to decide, what do we do about it? Are we going to be the billionaire party? Or are we going to be a party for the rest of us? My friends, this is a fight. This is a fight for the soul of the Democratic Party for sure. And it's a fight for the future of our state. And it's a fight for the future of this country. If you think the economy is working just fine and might need a couple of tweaks here and there, you've got plenty of options in this race for governor of Illinois that'll be just fine for you. If you think that the affordability of healthcare as it currently stands is just what we need, then you've got a lot of options you'll be excited about. If you think that child care is pretty much affordable and that people have secure retirements, then you are right there on the path to having the governor you want regardless of who wins this election. And if you think our tax system as it stands now is fair, if you think the working poor and the middle class are treated properly, if you think that millionaires and billionaires are paying their fair share, then you have no limit to the number of options to choose between when we're picking a governor in the March primary and the November general election. But if you think it's time to actually fix the American economy, if you think it's time to build a 21st century economy that works for the rest of us, if you think it's time to have a tax system that says, hey, look, for 2 generations, all the new money in the economy's gone up there, and it's time for us to get it there to pay for a government that works for us. If you think it's time for universal health care, if you think it's time for universal child care, if you think it's time for a school funding system that actually works for everybody, not just in a couple of zip codes, and my friends, if you think we should have elections and not auctions, then you have one choice in this race for government. We must build a transformative movement that changes how politics looks in the state of Illinois. We have to build a movement based on people talking to people in every single neighborhood in this state, in every single corner of this state. That movement must be strong, that movement must be powerful, that movement must be diverse, that movement must be broad, it must exist in every corner of the state, and when we win, that movement must stay together, because that movement must jointly govern the state of Illinois on behalf of the rest of us. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready for that movement? Are you ready to win this election? Are you ready to transform this state? Are you ready for a state that works for the rest of us? Then you've come to the right place this afternoon. Now, I want to introduce our keynote speaker, and I want to say something about him, because there's a lot of things that a lot of people will tell you about Larry Lessig, but I'm going to tell you something very, very, very nerdy about Larry Lessig. There was a time, a number of years ago, when there was an open seat congressional race in the state of California. Now that election was eventually won by a woman by the name of Jackie Speier, who was then a state senator in California. But I, at the time, sitting in my kitchen in Evanston, spent 20 minutes watching a slideshow about political reform prepared by another candidate in that race. And I will acknowledge that as I've since then learned a lot more about how to run campaigns, that 20-minute slideshows put on the internet may not be the most conventional mechanism to run for any office. But man, Larry Lessig's 20-minute slideshow about what was broken about our political system, it shook me to my core. It taught me about a new way of thinking about American politics. It made me understand that there is no time to wait for a democracy that works for the rest of us. And he has spent the last decade of his life in visible ways and under the radar ways, in high-profile ways and in quiet ways, challenging a democracy that is on the precipice of breaking, raising our hopes about what happens if you have a democracy that does properly function, and mincing no words when criticizing what's not working about our democracy. We don't have time to say we'll fix our democracy later, but right now we got to work on other issues. We don't have time to say campaign finance reform is something to deal with in a decade, but we'll let the billionaires buy another couple elections for now because something else is on our minds. If we want to fix the other issues, the one that will enable us to have a genuine, thriving working class of people who are paid a living wage, who can afford health care, who can afford to retire, who can afford child care, with access to high quality schools from birth until they're ready for the job market, and crucially, for a clean energy economy. If we want to change every single one of those things that we all know need to be changed, we got to understand who is paying our politicians not to do anything. And we have to reform our political system so our democracy is reflective of what the people who live in this democracy actually need. That's what Larry Lessig has been fighting for. And so that's why I called Larry Lessig to ask him to be a part of this campaign. Because this campaign is a test of whether we're going to have elections or whether we're going to have auctions. It's a test of whether we are now ready as a society to fix our democracy. And there is no better person in this country to talk about what it takes to fix our democracy than the next speaker, our keynote speaker, my friend, someone who's influenced my thinking tremendously over the course of a number of years now, Larry Lessig.